Learning English doesn't have to be hard or boring. When you follow a story, your brain starts learning without even noticing. You don't have to memorize grammar rules. You just feel how the language works. That's how children learn their first language. And that's how you can learn English too, naturally and with joy. If you enjoy learning this way, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Now, let's get into today's story. The sun was sinking behind the desert hills. The sky over Las Vegas glowed orange and gold, and the city below began to light up. Neon signs buzzed to life. Music poured out of bars, restaurants, and casinos. The city felt like a giant machine waking up. A black sports car pulled up in front of a five-star hotel. A valet in a red uniform opened the door, nodded, and said, "Welcome." Out stepped a young man wearing dark sunglasses, shiny shoes, and a white shirt that probably cost more than most people's rent. His name was Ryan. He was 24, rich, and used to getting everything he wanted. His father owned one of the largest tech companies in the country. Ryan didn't work. He didn't study. He just lived, flew first class, stayed in the best hotels, posted perfect pictures, and enjoyed attention. This week, he was in Vegas. But not just for fun. He had a goal, to win big, to feel something real. Ryan had always loved casinos. He liked the flashing lights, the cool air, the clinking sound of chips, and the risk. But tonight, he wanted more than excitement. He wanted power. He wanted to prove he could beat the system. He had booked the top-floor suite. Inside, everything was gold and glass, tall windows, velvet furniture, a minibar full of rare drinks, and a private pool on the balcony. He walked in, threw his bag on the couch, opened a bottle of water, and stared out the window. The view was electric. Casinos stretched across the strip like glowing boxes. People moved like rivers under the lights. Cars honked. Music echoed from every direction. This was Vegas, and Ryan felt like the king. He took a shower, changed into a black shirt, and styled his hair. He opened his leather case and checked its contents. 10 credit cards, 1 black chip worth $10,000, and a silver coin he called his lucky charm. He smiled at himself in the mirror and whispered, "Let's make history." The private elevator took him straight to the casino floor. As the doors opened, sound and light hit him like a wave. Loud music, ringing bells, laughter, cheering. Everything moved. Everything sparkled. He walked past the slot machines, past the roulette tables, past the tourists and families. He went straight to the high-stakes poker room. At the entrance, a tall man in a dark suit checked his ID, gave a small nod, and opened the velvet rope. The room inside was different, quieter, colder, more focused. There were only a few tables, and the people at them looked serious. Some wore watches worth more than a car. Others looked calm, almost bored. But their eyes were sharp. Ryan sat down at an empty seat. The dealer, a woman with a steady smile, greeted him softly and shuffled the cards. He bought in with $50,000. At first, Ryan played smart. He watched. He folded. He let others make mistakes. Then he started winning. A small hand here, a bigger hand there. His chip stack doubled. He leaned back, relaxed, and ordered sparkling water. 2 hours passed. Ryan was up over $100,000. The other players started looking at him differently. The dealer raised her eyebrows once, surprised. Then, things changed. A new player joined the table. A woman in a red jacket, with short hair and quiet eyes. She didn't speak. She just nodded and placed a tall stack of black chips on the table. Ryan smiled at her, but she didn't smile back. The game continued. At first, nothing seemed different. But soon, Ryan started losing. Slowly, then faster. She called his bluffs. She raised at the right times. Her hands were strong. Her face gave away nothing. Ryan tried to stay calm. He ordered another drink. He started betting more. Bigger hands. Riskier moves. He lost again. Then again. The woman in red stayed silent. She didn't celebrate. She just kept collecting chips. After an hour, Ryan stepped away. He walked out to the side balcony and looked over the city. Below him, people were still laughing and dancing. Music blasted from a limo. But Ryan didn't feel like laughing. He felt heat in his chest. His face was tight. He hated losing. He returned to the table with more chips. It was past midnight. The room felt heavier now. Some players had left. Others arrived. But the woman in red stayed. And Ryan stayed. His losses grew, 80,000. Then 100. Then 150. Still, he didn't stop. He played harder. Took more chances. Ignored his instincts. By 3 a.m, Ryan had lost over $200,000. The woman in red stood up, nodded at the dealer, picked up her chips and walked away. Ryan sat alone. His eyes were red. His body slouched. He stared at the green felt of the table, where only a few chips remained. His lucky coin lay near his hand. But it hadn't brought him any luck tonight. And the night wasn't over yet. Ryan stood up from the poker table, slowly. His legs felt heavy, and his mouth was dry. He grabbed the last few chips from the green felt and walked away without a word. The air outside the poker room felt colder, sharper. The sound of music and laughter from the main casino floor felt far away now. He walked through the glowing halls of the hotel without looking at anyone. His heart was beating fast, but he didn't feel excited anymore. He felt something strange, something he wasn't used to. Shame. Back in the elevator, he stared at his reflection in the shiny doors. His black shirt was wrinkled now. His hair looked messy. His eyes were tired. He pressed the button for the top floor and leaned against the wall. When the elevator opened, the hallway was quiet and clean. His suite waited at the end, full of gold and glass, but now it felt empty. He walked in, kicked off his shoes, and threw his keys on the table. The silence hit him hard. He sat on the edge of the bed, holding the silver coin between his fingers. It had always been his lucky charm. He had brought it to every game since college. Tonight, it had done nothing. He looked out the window. Las Vegas still burned with light and sound. People below were partying, drinking, shouting. But Ryan sat still, surrounded by wealth, feeling lost. He didn't need the money. That wasn't the problem. He could call his banker and replace every dollar he lost. But something deeper hurt. He had believed he was smart, lucky, maybe even special. And now, a quiet stranger in a red jacket had destroyed that illusion in one single night. At 5 a.m, he was still awake. He opened his laptop and looked at his bank accounts. Still full, still powerful, but none of it felt real right now. Then, something strange happened. He opened social media out of habit. His latest post was still getting likes. A photo of him by the hotel pool, smiling, holding a drink. People were writing things like, "Living the dream," and "Vegas King." No one knew what had just happened. No one saw the real Ryan, the one who had just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, the one who felt small. He shut the laptop. Morning light was starting to break through the curtains. And then he had an idea. A bad one. He stood up, showered, changed clothes, and walked back down to the casino. The morning crowd was different, quieter, older, slower. But the tables were still open, and the machines still flashed. He walked past everything and found a private blackjack table. It was empty. A dealer greeted him with a tired smile. Buy-in, sir. Ryan placed a thick stack of bills on the table. 50,000, he said. The cards were dealt. At first, things went well. He won a few hands. Not big, but enough to feel a little rush. He leaned back and stretched his arms. The room still smelled like perfume, smoke, and money. But blackjack is fast. The cards move quickly. The wins don't last long. After 20 minutes, Ryan was down again. 30,000 gone. He doubled the bet. Lost. Doubled again. Lost. He took out another 50,000. Now he was chasing. He didn't feel the same as last night. Last night, he had been excited, arrogant, full of energy. This morning, he just felt empty, like something was pulling him forward and he couldn't stop it. By the time the clock hit 10, Ryan had lost another 100,000. He sat there, silent. The dealer looked at him gently. Take a break, maybe, she offered. Ryan didn't answer. He just nodded, stood up, and walked away. The hallway outside felt like a tunnel. Bright lights. No windows. Just endless walls of posters, doors, and machines. He wandered for a while. He passed a group of tourists taking pictures. A kid laughed near a candy shop. An older couple walked by holding hands. Ryan kept walking. Finally, he sat down on a bench outside the hotel. The sun was high now. The air was dry. A hot wind blew across the strip. He closed his eyes and leaned back. For the first time in a long time, he felt something simple. He felt tired. Not just sleepy, tired in his soul. He had everything people dream of. But right now, all he wanted was peace. A moment of stillness. The noise of Vegas kept moving around him, like waves crashing in every direction. But Ryan sat there, holding nothing. Just himself. And a question began to grow in his mind. What was he really doing with his life? The streets of Las Vegas were heating up as the morning turned to afternoon. The city was alive again. People walked in and out of hotels with shopping bags and cameras. Tour buses rolled down the strip. Music blasted from every corner. But Ryan was still on that bench, sitting in the shadow of a giant glass building. His sunglasses hid his eyes, but his body told the truth. He wasn't relaxed. He wasn't enjoying the view. He was thinking. He looked down at his phone. Dozens of new notifications. Texts. Mentions. Comments. All full of excitement. People asking where he was, what he was doing, if he'd post a new photo. He turned off the screen. A part of him wanted to disappear. But another part, the louder part, said, "You can't lose like this." That voice told him he had to get back up, win it all back, prove he was still in control. He stood up, brushed off his pants, and walked into a coffee shop near the hotel. The air smelled like strong espresso and sweet pastries. He ordered a double shot, sat by the window, and pulled out his phone again, but this time, not for social media. He searched, how to win at blackjack, casino strategies, professional gamblers. He clicked through websites, read stories, watched a few short videos. Some people said it was all chance. Others said you could beat the system if you were smart, focused, and had discipline. Ryan had money. He had time. And more than anything, he had pride. He walked back to the hotel, went straight to his room, and closed the curtains. He didn't sleep. He didn't scroll. He practiced. For the next few hours, Ryan sat at a small table in the corner of his suite, using a deck of cards from the minibar and practicing blackjack hands. He studied basic strategy charts. He repeated the rules in his head, when to hit, when to stand, when to double down. He felt like a student again, but this time it mattered. He ate a small meal, changed into clean clothes, and waited for the right moment. As the sky outside turned red and purple, The lights of the city came alive again. A fresh wave of tourists filled the casino. Ryan looked in the mirror. He looked sharp, serious, focused. He took a deep breath, put the silver coin in his pocket, and walked downstairs. This time, he didn't go to the poker room. He didn't go to the high-stakes area either. He found a normal blackjack table with just 2 other players. No noise, no cameras, no pressure. He sat down. "Buy in, sir," the dealer asked. 10,000, Ryan said quietly. The first hand came. He followed the chart in his mind. The dealer had a 6. Ryan had a 12. He stayed. The dealer flipped over a 10, then busted. Ryan won. He smiled a little. The next hand, he had a 16. The dealer showed a 7. He hit, drew a 4. Another win. He kept going. Win some, lose some. But he didn't panic. He didn't chase. He stayed calm, focused. After 1 hour, he was up 15,000. Not a fortune, but it was something. It felt good. A small group of people started watching him. Not loud, not cheering, just curious. He didn't look at them. He stayed in his lane. 2 hours passed. He was up 25,000. He tipped the dealer, stood up and walked away. No big scene. No high five. Just quiet pride. Back in his room, he placed the chips on the table, next to his lucky coin. He had made a comeback. Not all the money. Not yet. But enough to feel real. Enough to feel in control again. He stood by the window, looking at the Las Vegas Strip, now glowing in full power. But this time, the view didn't hypnotize him. He didn't feel like the king. He felt like something else. Someone who had gone to the bottom and climbed back up a little. Someone who had changed. He sat on the couch and closed his eyes. He didn't fall asleep right away. But when he did, he slept better than he had in weeks. Ryan woke up just after noon. For the first time in days, he didn't feel tired. The sunlight slipped through the edge of the curtain and touched the carpet. The city outside was already in motion. Horns, voices, music, and sirens mixing into one loud hum. But inside the hotel room, everything was still. He stood up, walked to the table, and looked at the chips he had won the night before. $25,000. A small part of what he had lost, but it meant more than money now. It meant control. It meant balance. He took a shower, got dressed, and walked down to the street. No casinos this time. No noise. He ordered a black coffee from a small shop and found a quiet bench away from the crowd. The sun was warm and the breeze was soft. Ryan sat for a long time, watching the people walk by. Tourists laughed, posed for pictures, and pointed at buildings. Street performers danced. A group of college kids ran across the road, yelling. An old man fed birds from a small paper bag. Life was moving around him, full of energy. But Ryan wasn't rushing anymore. He thought about the first day, the night he arrived in Las Vegas, full of pride, full of excitement. He remembered how it felt to sit at that poker table, thinking he couldn't lose. And then he remembered the moment when everything changed. The moment he realized money didn't always protect you. Now he understood something new. Las Vegas wasn't just a city of lights and games. It was a mirror. It showed you who you were when things didn't go your way. That night, he returned to the casino one last time. Not to win more. Not to prove anything. He walked through the floor, calm and clear. The machines blinked. The tables buzzed with action. But Ryan wasn't part of the game anymore. Not tonight. He found a quiet lounge near the back. A piano played soft jazz. He ordered a glass of water and sat by the window. The lights of the Strip stretched into the distance. Bright, beautiful, and empty. He pulled out his phone and opened social media again. This time, he didn't post a photo. He didn't write a caption. He deleted the app. Then he turned off the phone and put it in his pocket. He sat there, listening to the music, sipping water, watching the lights flicker across the window. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like the rich boy trying to win. He felt like a person who had failed, learned, and grown. The next morning, Ryan packed his bags. He didn't bring back souvenirs or luxury gifts. He left behind expensive watches and flashy jackets. What he took with him was something deeper, something invisible but powerful. He checked out of the hotel, shook the hand of the front desk manager, and walked outside into the sunlight. A black car waited for him at the curb. The driver opened the door. As the car moved toward the airport, Ryan looked out the window. He didn't feel sad to leave. He felt ready, not to forget the loss, but to understand it. Not to erase the pain, but to carry the lesson. The flight home was quiet. He didn't watch a movie. He didn't talk to anyone. He just sat there, thinking, remembering, breathing. Back in his city, he returned to his apartment. Tall glass windows, designer furniture, a perfect skyline view. Everything was the same. But Ryan wasn't. He opened his laptop, not for banking, not for showing off. He opened a blank document and started to type. He wrote about that weekend in Las Vegas, about the feeling of control, the fall, the silence, the shame, about the lessons, about the change. And slowly, the words became a story. A real story, not about money or games, but about growing up. He didn't share it online. He saved it for himself. Because not every story is made for the crowd. Some are made for the soul. You've just followed a full journey, one filled with emotion, reflection, and transformation. And while enjoying the story, you also picked up real English, past tense forms, advanced sentence structures, and expressive vocabulary, without even thinking about it. That's the power of story-based learning. If this story gave you something to think about, leave a comment. What's a lesson you've learned the hard way? And if you're enjoying these stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you don't miss tomorrow's new video. We're learning English, one powerful story at a time.